Well, guys, there's a new rumor that was just announced, and I gotta be honest, it's pretty sad. What we have here is a couple of sources: VGP Video Game Plus, who knows exactly who they are, but the news website I'm using here, My Nintendo, they're covering the story, so they must have some credibility in the source. So overall, what the guy is saying is that the Nintendo DS will in fact cease production, which is pretty insane. I remember when the Nintendo DS came out, it's been over 10 years now since the official release, man, and this console has been really a big part of my childhood. I mean, it wasn't the first ever Nintendo console I had when I was a child. I would have to go to the Game Boy Color, but probably if you were to have a proportion of which device I used the longest during my childhood, it was definitely Nintendo DS. And if you also, if you also thought about the amount of time I used the device, it would also have to be this console. So overall, Nintendo DS was a very, very influential device. It's a really, really cool device by Nintendo. You could say probably the actual, I guess, specs, the actual performance is very, very comparable to probably an N64. Probably N64 is how it looked like, but obviously this is a portable device, so it's much more valuable even though it came out over 10 years after the N64. I mean, the graphics weren't great, I mean, even for its time, but still, the Nintendo DS did a lot of stuff right. I mean, it did a lot of stuff right, and we should talk about that right now. First of all, you had cross-platform performance with Nintendo DS games and also Game Boy Advance games. I'm not saying that was the first console to ever do it, but for the time, man, I had a Game Boy Advance for probably about 5 years before that, right? You had Emerald, your Ruby Sapphire, bunch of other games, and now all those games could still be played for another couple of years before the DSi came out when they finally got rid of the device for more of a smoother and streamlined design. Obviously, you had a DSi shop, so they probably wanted to implement that and get more money out of you, right? So that's probably why I did that. I mean, these consoles also had a stylus. That's pretty cool. A touchscreen, right? With two screens and a touchscreen was also a pretty, for the time, this is a pretty crazy thing, and this is a pretty crazy thing for its time. The reason why it sold over 100 million, 100 million copies because the designs here were pretty fantastic, I mean, you had your earphone jack, you have the volume, that's not too crazy. I mean, you have a backlit display, that was pretty cool. The games were some of the best games, and some of the games I played during the most of my childhood than any other console. I mean, there were so many quality games. You had all the Pokemon games. You had so many games. I can't even think of all the games now. But overall, Nintendo DS was an extremely influential console, not just for kids, not just for me, but probably for everyone. I mean, without this device, who knows what would have happened? I mean, obviously, I believe smartphones would have eventually taken over, but I think this device helped prove the market that people want to play games on the go. I think this console really helped and really aided in the development of the App Store, Google Play Store, and the iOS Store, and also Windows and all that stuff. I really do believe this device has become a very, very influential part of most people's lives who owned it. Obviously not everyone owns it, but for the people who did own it, they would probably agree that this was pretty influential in their childhood or maybe their adult life whenever they had it. But overall, man, I'm pretty sad to hear about this, man. I mean, I have a DSi, I have a DS Lite, I have a 3DS, I have the original DS. I have many DSs. And I mean, to be honest with you, there's not much of a difference between the DS, DS Lite, and DSi. It really isn't. And looking back, I feel pretty stupid for buying all of them. Looking back, because there really was no difference. I mean, you had a DSi shop, but all those games could have been bought on a virtual console on the Wii. And the DSi, it really, I mean, the DS and the DS Lite, there really was no difference between the original DS and the DS Lite. It was a smaller device. It was smaller, and the brightness was a little bit stronger. Other than that, I feel pretty stupid for doing that. But overall, quality console. Hate to see it go, but time passes, and eventually things become obsolete. That's just how technology works. So really hope you enjoyed that video. Thank you, and bye.